Hey everyone, before we dive into this wild story, please hit that subscribe button to join our community and never miss an update. The conference room was buzzing with tension as I walked in, my heart pounding like a drum. My secretary, Karen, had just dropped a bombshell, claiming I'd lied about my degree to the entire board. Her accusation hung in the air like a storm cloud, and all eyes were on me. I could feel the weight of their stares, each one questioning my integrity. I'd built this company from the ground up, and now this? I took a deep breath, knowing I had to stay calm. Karen sat smugly across the table, her arms crossed, a smirk playing on her lips. She thought she had me cornered, but I wasn't going down without a fight. I'd spent years earning my place here, and no one was going to take that away. I adjusted my tie, forcing a smile, and nodded at the board members. This was my moment to set the record straight. I reached for my laptop, my secret weapon ready to go. The room grew quieter, anticipation building. I wasn't just going to defend myself, I was going to shut this down. It all started a week ago when Karen began acting strangely, dropping hints about inconsistencies in my resume. At first, I brushed it off as her usual overzealous fact-checking. She'd always been meticulous, but this felt different, almost personal. I'd hired her 3 years ago, trusting her to handle sensitive tasks. Now, she was using that trust against me, whispering doubts to colleagues. I overheard her in the break room, questioning my credentials to a junior exec. My degree from Stanford wasn't just a piece of paper, it was years of sleepless nights and sacrifice. I couldn't let her narrative take root, but I needed proof. I spent days digging through old files, searching for something undeniable. That's when I found it, the video of my graduation speech. It was perfect, a time-stamped record of my achievement. I knew it could silence her. I saved it to my drive, ready for the right moment. Today was that moment. The board meeting was scheduled for 10 a.m., and I arrived early to set up the projector. My palms were sweaty, but I kept my cool, greeting everyone with a firm handshake. Karen walked in last, her eyes glinting with confidence, like she'd already won. She'd sent an email to the board the night before, outlining her concerns. It was a calculated move, designed to catch me off guard. I let her talk, watching her lay out her case with precision. She cited discrepancies in my academic record, even pulling up a forged document. The board members exchanged uneasy glances, unsure what to believe. I stayed silent, letting her dig her own grave. My evidence was irrefutable, and I wanted her to feel the weight of her mistake. I clicked open my laptop, the video file ready to play. This wasn't just about clearing my name, it was about exposing her. The truth was my ally, and I was ready to wield it. Karen's voice grew louder as she accused me of fabricating my credentials to climb the corporate ladder. She waved a printout, claiming it was proof from the university's registrar. I almost laughed at her audacity. It was a poorly done fake. I'd checked with Stanford myself. My records were clean. Her accusations were bold, but they were built on lies. I leaned back in my chair, letting her finish her performance. The board was restless, some whispering, others taking notes. I caught the eye of my mentor, Mr. Thompson, who gave me a subtle nod. He knew me better than anyone here and trusted my integrity. That gave me the strength to push forward. I stood up, addressing the room calmly, asking for a moment to respond. All eyes turned to me, and I felt the pressure mount. I clicked play on the video, and the screen lit up. This was it, the moment of truth. The video began with the familiar Stanford commencement music, the crowd cheering in the background. There I was, 22 years old, nervously stepping up to the podium. My younger self looked so different, but the passion in my voice was unmistakable. I spoke about innovation, leadership, and the future, themes that defined my career. The board watched in silence, their skepticism fading with every word. Karen's face twitched, her confidence crumbling as the video played on. The timestamp on the screen read June 2005, undeniable proof of my graduation. I glanced at her, seeing the realization hit. She'd underestimated me, thinking I wouldn't fight back. The video ended with applause, and I paused it, letting the moment sink in. The room was silent, all eyes on Karen now. I didn't need to say much. My evidence spoke for itself. But I wasn't done yet. I turned to Karen, my voice steady but firm, asking her to explain her accusations. She stammered, clutching her forged document, her face turning red. The board members leaned forward, waiting for her response. She tried to deflect, claiming she'd been misinformed, but it was too late. I'd already emailed Stanford's registrar confirmation to the board that morning. The email, projected on the screen, verified my degree in black and white. Karen's lies were unraveling, and she knew it. I kept my tone professional, but inside, I was furious. She'd tried to destroy my reputation for her own gain. I asked her who provided the forged document, but she stayed silent. The board's trust in her was gone, and they turned to me for direction. I suggested a formal investigation into her actions. This wasn't just about me, it was about protecting the company. The board agreed unanimously to investigate Karen's conduct, and she was asked to leave the meeting. Her exit was swift, her head bowed, avoiding eye contact with everyone. I felt a mix of relief and anger as she walked out. This wasn't how I wanted things to go, but she'd left me no choice. I addressed the board, apologizing for the disruption but standing firm on my truth. They nodded, some even clapping, impressed by my composure. Mr. Thompson spoke up, praising my leadership under pressure. It was a small victory, but it meant everything. I defended my name and my company in one move. The meeting shifted to regular business, but the energy had changed. People looked at me with renewed respect, and I felt stronger for it. Still, I knew this wasn't the end. Karen's motives were unclear, and I needed answers. After the meeting, I stayed late, replaying the events in my mind, trying to understand Karen's betrayal. She'd been a trusted employee, always efficient, always loyal, or so I thought. I started piecing together her behavior over the past few months. She'd been passed over for a promotion, and I'd sensed her resentment. Was this her revenge? I pulled up her personnel file, looking for clues. Nothing stood out, but I flagged it for HR to review. I also contacted Stanford again, ensuring no one else could tamper with my records. The video had saved me today, but I needed to be proactive. I couldn't let another attack catch me off guard. I drafted a memo to the board, outlining steps to strengthen our vetting process. This was my company, and I'd protect it at all costs. The next day, HR called me with preliminary findings about Karen's actions. They'd found emails between her and a competitor, hinting at a coordinated effort to discredit me. It was worse than I thought. She wasn't just acting out of spite, she was a pawn in a larger game. I felt betrayed, but also determined to get to the bottom of it. I met with our legal team, discussing how to handle the situation. We agreed to suspend Karen pending a full investigation. I also tightened access to sensitive files, ensuring no one could manipulate records again. The board supported my decisions, trusting me to lead us through this. I spent the evening reflecting on trust and loyalty in business. It's a fragile thing, easily broken. But I wasn't going to let this define me or my company. By the end of the week, the investigation revealed Karen's full motive. She'd been promised a senior role at the competitor's firm. Her plan was to destabilize our company by undermining me, their CEO. It was a bold move, but she'd underestimated my resolve. I shared the findings with the board, who were shocked but relieved we'd caught it early. We terminated Karen's employment and pursued legal action for defamation. The competitor issued a public apology, distancing themselves from her actions. I felt vindicated, but the experience left a mark. I'd learned to trust my instincts and always have proof ready. The video of my graduation speech became a symbol of that lesson. I kept it on my desk, a reminder to stay vigilant. The company was stronger for it, and so was I. The aftermath of the incident rippled through the company, but it also brought us closer together. Employees rallied around me, sharing stories of my leadership that Karen had tried to erase. It was humbling to hear their support, and it reminded me why I'd started this business. I held a town hall to address the situation openly, emphasizing transparency. People appreciated my honesty, and morale began to recover. I also implemented new training on ethics and accountability. Karen's actions had exposed a weak spot in our culture, and I was determined to fix it. I personally reviewed our hiring and vetting processes, ensuring no one could slip through again. The graduation video became a bit of a legend in the office. People joked about it, but it symbolized resilience. I was proud of how we'd handled the crisis. It wasn't just about me, it was about protecting our shared vision. A month later, the company was back on track, with new projects in the pipeline and renewed energy. I couldn't help but think about the graduation speech video that saved my reputation. It wasn't just proof, it was a piece of my journey, a reminder of my roots. I watched it again one evening, feeling a mix of nostalgia and pride. That young man at the podium had no idea what challenges lay ahead. But he had the same fire I still carry today. I decided to share the video with the team, not as evidence, but as inspiration. During our next all-hands meeting, I played it, explaining its significance. The room erupted in applause, and I saw nods of understanding. It wasn't just about a degree, it was about perseverance. That moment bonded us, turning a scandal into a story of triumph. Karen's departure left a gap in my team, but it also opened opportunities for others to step up. I promoted Sarah, a junior assistant who'd shown loyalty and sharp instincts. She was nervous but eager, and I mentored her closely, sharing lessons from my own career. I also hired a new head of HR to oversee cultural reforms. We introduced anonymous feedback channels to catch issues early. The board praised my proactive approach, and I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The crisis had tested me, but it also showed me what I was capable of. I kept the graduation video on my laptop, a digital talisman against doubt. Every time I faced a tough decision, I'd think of that moment in the boardroom. It reminded me to stay grounded and fight for what's right. The company was thriving, and I was ready for the next challenge. As we moved forward, I reflected on how quickly trust can be weaponized in the corporate world. Karen's betrayal wasn't just personal, it was a lesson in vigilance. I started mentoring younger employees, sharing the importance of integrity. I also reached out to Stanford, thanking them for their swift response during the crisis. They invited me to speak at an alumni event, and I accepted, eager to give back. I began working on a speech that tied my recent experience to the values I'd learned there. The graduation video would make another appearance, this time as a story of resilience. I wanted others to know that truth always wins, but only if you're prepared to defend it. The boardroom showdown had changed me, but it also made me stronger. I was ready to lead with even more conviction. The alumni event at Stanford was a full-circle moment, standing at the same podium for my graduation video. I shared the story of Karen's accusation and how I'd fought back with proof. The audience, a mix of students and alumni, listened intently. I emphasized the importance of documenting your achievements and staying true to your values. The graduation video played on a large screen, and I saw smiles and nods in the crowd. It wasn't just about my degree. It was about standing up to doubt. Afterward, several students approached me, asking for advice on navigating corporate challenges. I felt honored to guide them, just as I'd been guided years ago. The experience reminded me why I loved leadership. It's not just about success, it's about inspiring others to rise. That night, I left campus feeling lighter, ready for the future. Back at the company, we launched a new initiative to foster trust and collaboration across teams. I called it Truth First, inspired by the boardroom incident. It included workshops on ethical decision-making and open forums for discussion. Employees embraced it, sharing ideas that strengthened our culture. I also started a personal ritual, watching my graduation video every quarter. It wasn't about ego, It was about remembering my why. The video grounded me, connecting my past to my present. I shared this habit with Sarah, who'd become my right-hand person. She laughed, but admitted it was inspiring. The company was growing, and so was our reputation for integrity. The crisis had been a wake-up call, but it also sparked positive change. I was proud of how far we'd come. 6 months after the incident, we landed a major client, a deal that Karen's actions could have derailed. The client cited our transparency and leadership as reasons for choosing us. It was validation that we'd turned a scandal into a strength. I celebrated with the team, acknowledging their role in our recovery. We threw a party, and someone jokingly played the graduation video on a loop. Laughter filled the room, and I joined in, grateful for the camaraderie. I also took a moment to thank Mr. Thompson, my mentor, for his unwavering support. He reminded me that leadership is tested in moments of crisis. I'd passed that test, but I knew more would come. The video stayed on my desk, a quiet reminder of resilience. We were stronger than ever, and I was ready to keep pushing forward. Karen's legal case wrapped up quietly, with her issuing a public apology as part of a settlement. I didn't gloat. There was no need. The truth had won, and I'd moved on. I focused on mentoring Sarah and the team, building a culture of trust. We also upgraded our cybersecurity, ensuring no one could forge documents again. I met with the board to review our progress, and they were impressed with the changes. They even suggested I write a book about the experience, but I laughed it off. For now, I was focused on leading my company and supporting my team. The graduation video had become a symbol of our resilience, shared in team meetings as a reminder. We weren't just a company, we were a family. And families stick together through anything. A year later, the incident felt like a distant memory, but its lessons stayed with me. I'd grown as a leader, more aware of the fragility of trust. I kept in touch with Stanford, even funding a scholarship for young leaders. The graduation video was now part of my personal brand, a story I shared at conferences. People loved it, not just for the drama but for the message. Always be prepared. I also became more involved in industry groups, advocating for ethical standards. The crisis had turned me into a voice for integrity. My team noticed the change, often citing my calm under pressure as inspiration. I was grateful for their loyalty and determined to keep earning it. The video wasn't just proof, it was a legacy I was proud to carry. As I looked back on the ordeal, I realized it had shaped me in ways I never expected. Karen's betrayal was painful, but it forced me to confront my own vulnerabilities. I'd always prided myself on my work ethic, but now I valued preparation even more. The graduation video was my shield, but my real strength was my team's trust. I made it a point to celebrate their wins, big and small. We were closing deals, innovating, and growing stronger every day. I also started a personal journal, reflecting on leadership and resilience. The video found a permanent home on my office wall, framed as a reminder. It wasn't about the degree, it was about the fight. I'd won, but more importantly, I'd learned. And that made all the difference. The company's annual retreat was the perfect chance to reflect on how far we'd come since the crisis. I stood before my team, sharing the system, the story of how I defended my degree with the graduation speech video. We gathered in the mountains, surrounded by pine trees and a clear lake. I played the video again, not as evidence this time, but as a symbol of our journey. The team cheered, and Sarah gave a speech about unity. We'd turned a betrayal into a bond, stronger than ever. I felt a lump in my throat, grateful for their loyalty. The board members attended, praising our resilience. I announced new employee-led initiatives, inspired by the Truth First program. The video looped on a screen as we danced under the stars. It was a night of healing and hope. I knew challenges would come, but we were ready. The video, now a relic, reminded us of our strength. Back in the office, I noticed a shift in how my team approached challenges with confidence. The crisis had taught us to face problems head-on, no excuses. I met with Sarah weekly, grooming her for bigger roles. She was a quick learner, asking about the video's impact. I told her it was more than proof, it was my promise to never give up. We revamped our mission statement, emphasizing integrity and innovation. The board approved it unanimously, and clients noticed the change. Our reputation soared, and I credited the team's hard work. I kept the video file on my laptop, a quiet reminder of vigilance. New hires were shown the story during onboarding, not for drama, but for values. The company wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. I felt proud to lead this group. Industry peers began reaching out, curious about our turnaround after the scandal. I shared the story at a conference, playing the video to a stunned audience. The applause was deafening, and I realized our story was universal. Everyone faces doubt. It's how you respond that matters. I wrote an article about it for a business journal, titled The Power of Proof. The video became a case study in leadership courses. I was invited to guest lecture at Stanford, bringing the video full circle. Students asked how I stayed calm, and I admitted I wasn't. Inside, I was terrified. But preparation saved me. The video was my anchor, and I encouraged them to find theirs. Back home, my team watched the lecture online, cheering. We were a family, forged in fire. The competitor who'd backed Karen faced their own fallout, losing credibility. I didn't dwell on it. My focus was on our future. We launched a new product line, born from the team's post-crisis innovation. Sales skyrocketed, and the board called it a triumph. I gave credit to the team, especially Sarah, who'd stepped up as a leader. I shared the video at the product launch, tying it to our comeback. The crowd loved it, and the media ran stories about our resilience. I started mentoring other CEOs, sharing the video as a lesson in trust. My journal entries grew into a book outline, urged by Mr. Thompson. The video wasn't just a memory, it was a movement. I was excited to see where it would take us next. 2 years after the incident, our company was named a top workplace in the industry. The award ceremony was emotional, with the team sharing stories of growth. I played the video, now a tradition, and the room lit up with pride. Sarah introduced me, calling me a truth warrior. I laughed, but it stuck. We donated part of our profits to Stanford scholarships, honoring my roots. The video was featured in our annual report, a symbol of authenticity. Clients cited it as a reason to trust us. I met with Karen's replacement, a young man with big ideas, and mentored him closely. The crisis had taught me to invest in people. The video sat on my desk, a quiet testament to our journey. We were unstoppable now. Reflecting on the crisis, I realized it had redefined our company's purpose. We weren't just about profit, we were about truth. I shared this in a TEDx talk, using the video to illustrate resilience. The audience stood, moved by the story. Back home, the team watched the talk, inspired anew. We launched a Truth First campaign, promoting ethical business practices. The video was its centerpiece, shared across social media. Industry leaders praised our boldness, and competitors took note. I mentored Sarah to lead the campaign, and she shined. The video, once a defense, was now a beacon. My journal was nearly a book, with the video as its heart. I felt fulfilled, knowing we'd turned pain into purpose. As I write this, I'm watching the graduation video, reflecting on its impact. It's more than a degree, it's a testament to truth. The company is stronger, with Sarah as my deputy, leading with heart. We're launching a foundation for ethical leadership, with the video as its symbol. The team is my family, and I'm theirs. The crisis taught us resilience, and the video sealed it. My book is in schools, inspiring young leaders. The video plays at every new hire orientation, a rite of passage. I'm grateful for the betrayal. It made us who we are. The future is ours, and we'll face it with truth. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Please subscribe for more stories of triumph. If you love this story, hit that subscribe button to stay updated on more inspiring tales of resilience and truth.